the absolute heartbreak of losing the youngest kid. Like we just met this family, still your heart sort of breaks. Get
To be honest, for me, my heart broke only for a second. Then I was like, good riddance. At least the family will stay alive now. Dude, kids are so stupid. They shouldn't, they should not be allowed to live in a post-apocalyptic world. I do not care.
I think if he didn't die, it would have not been a satisfying conclusion.
No, we had three more kids to sacrifice. They should have killed two and, still have one. So that's how it works. Though it's not a horror movie, but it's the most
It's definitely
horrified
a
I've
horror
been.
movie.
It,
It
matlab,
is.
it's not,
We couldn't breathe, man. Come on.
yeah, that's where I was getting to.
Oh, fuck.
I get it, dude. You think I'm dumb?
That was the Quiet Place intro, but he ruined it. Jay ruined it.
I tagged along. What do you mean I ruined it?
I wanted you to be confused. I wanted you to
How
say,
was I
like,
supposed to be confused?
I wanted
We
you to
are
say, like, hey, man, the mic is not working.
yeah,
Hey, something's up.
very dull, very dull.
Welcome, everyone, to the Quiet Place episode for the Geek Life Podcast. And I have with me joining, as usual, my the assistant of the Rock, Jay the Rock,
Obviously.
Jay the Rock Johnson.
Yeah, it rolls off the tongue quite nicely
Yes,
as well. Say the
Jay
wrong
the
Johnson.
Rock Johnson. Yeah. And today, as you probably knew from the intro and from what is written below, we're discussing the Quiet Place movies. And both the movies, since the new movie, A Quiet Place Day 1 is coming out. So because of that, we'll be discussing these two movies. So if you find this topic intriguing, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And yeah, also maybe follow us on Instagram. And it should come up now. It's not coming up. Let me just see. Instagram. Yep, that's right over there. So, so yeah, that's about it. So we'll jump into the quiet. It's not jump street, but we will quietly segue into the Quiet Place movies. And yeah, we also would be discussing horror experiences that we sort of experienced.
You will be discussing with yourself. I'll be moving out for that. I won't be there. Sorry.
We did invite like stories from the subscribers, but we didn't really get a lot. I think we just had one from Shelly, who was very kind to share a very small story about one of her scary real life experience. So that's all going to be there in today's episode. So let's start with the first movie, and I have the description right ready here, very professional from Wikipedia.
Very professional from Wikipedia. Oh,
So Quiet Place is an post-apocalyptic horror film directed by John Krasinski, who we all love. It revolves around a family who's struggling to survive and raise their children in a post-apocalyptic world, inhabited by blind extraterrestrial creatures with an acute sense of hearing. And that's the first movie. The second movie is just a continuation of that. That's the description.
that's a plot.
So this, as you probably guys this is going to be a spoiler-filled discussion. We will be diving very heavily into the spoilers because it's a pretty old film. Not very old, but still, it came out a few years back. So, Jay, what are your thoughts on the first Quiet Place movie?
So for me, it was like as like we both love here The Office so much,
Yeah,
and like anything, anyone we and every time we see a character from that universe, like anywhere, it's like we just have an instant connection. Okay, we are rooting for it,
yeah.
and I just didn't know that Jim had that sort of a filmmaking skill in him, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like it blew my mind instantly because we have the apocalyptic world thing, used so much in Hollywood, but they try to give it a new spin to it. And
Yeah,
for me, where it works is like they didn't try to do so much with it. Because when you think about it, like in a zombie or like a post-apocalyptic world, every person will have their own journey, which is worth following.
yeah,
And when you involve that emotional connection from like the way they started the movie, I was like, oh my god. I am using a reference where I don't know if I read it or if I watched it, but the way these guys build the tension over the duration of the movie, it felt like started feeling getting choked. You know something's gonna happen. It's
you get
only a matter.
suffocated. You get
Yeah,
suffocated. Yeah.
you know something's gonna happen. You're just waiting for it. Ki, please let it happen earlier. Let it not happen. But
Yeah.
it's like a guitar string. It's getting tighter and tighter, but it's not getting torn up yet.
Yeah.
And when it does, it's like it's just so heartbreaking. I just love pretty much everything about the first movie. I have no complaints except he shouldn't have died.
We'll get to
No,
that.
he shouldn't have died. Yeah, that's where I'm gonna end.
We'll get to that. But I think just the starting opening sequence of them showing the family sort of walking, getting supplies and walking, something is up. Like things are not right. And then
Yeah.
everyone is like, it's such a great way of building that world. Because they didn't like usually what they would do like a movie like this they would like show many newspaper clippings you'll hear radio sounds and you'll be like this has happened and all like but no they just had a small scene with just the family and with that itself that things are not well and they can't speak like if they speak something wrong will happen and all of that is established in just the first I think 5 or 6 minutes and then the absolute heartbreak of losing the youngest kid like we just met this family still your heart sort of breaks watching the
Yeah.
youngest kid just get
To be honest, for me, my heartbreak only for a second. Then I was like, good riddance. At least the family will stay alive now. Dude, kids are so stupid. They shouldn't, they should not be allowed to live in a post-apocalyptic world. I do not care. Dude,
but like
the entire family was gonna get salvaged because of that. He wants to play. Are you kidding me right now?
I mean he's a
Look at what.
kid
Yeah,
he
and
doesn't
we
know
don't need it. Kid in a post-apocalyptic world. Yeah, sorry,
but
sorry. I'm
no
mad.
but
John died. Okay, he shouldn't have
like
died.
later in the movie like Emily Blunt she says that I wish I had carried him like I could have carried him and that was such a heartbreaking moment because you're like always whenever something bad happens in your life you always sort of think back and this is such a heartbreaking moment in all of their lives that you always think back it reminded me of this there's a Hindi movie called Talash with
Yeah.
Amar Khan. In that, his the movie's plot sort of has his son dying in the start of the
Yeah.
film. So he imagines different scenarios of how he could have not had that happen. So he will like maybe he should have gone in, and so that reminded me of that heartbreak that he sort of the family sort of goes through of losing their youngest son. But
Yeah.
I think that even though it was such a big heartbreak, it sort of established the threat. Like
That's
that
true.
shit.
That's very
What
true.
is this like? And
This is actually serious.
that scariness carries out throughout the entire film because obvious if that scene didn't work I don't think the rest of the film would have worked because
Ac-
that scene established how critical it was for them to stay silent so the entire fear that we are having in the rest of the film of them staying quiet them not making a sound that is all I think attributed to that opening scene which they executed so well. So I think hats off to John Krasinski for directing this, and it was really nice to see Emily Blunt and him do this film together.
Yeah,
Like a
finally for
power
once,
couple.
yeah, actually, I was just waiting for someday ki they will like actually get to be in such a
Yeah, yeah.
good enough movie for them, and I'm so glad that it happened to be his directorial venture as well.
And
So
John
it was
Krasinski with a
like,
beard, like.
oh my God, dude, again, he shouldn't have died. Like, I just cannot believe it was so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
That's where I lost it. I'm like, oh my God, yeah.
But like I feel like that was kind of it was kind of written. You kind of knew that was
Yeah,
coming because
but
again,
come
this
on.
all goes to that first scene. The whole hatred that the daughter feels, presumed hatred
Yeah,
from John Krasinski, the dad's character, even though he doesn't actually hate her.
yeah.
Maybe a tiny subconsciously, maybe he blames her in some way, but a father would never like hate their own
Explicitly.
children
Yeah, yeah,
hate their
exactly.
own children because of a mistake that they did like they're not so I kind of like that scene between even between the younger
Not.
kid and John Krasinski's character where he says do you hate her like he says no I absolutely love her like and I think that all came so you knew this was coming like towards the end it was building to that moment and it almost felt like a how do you say it like a succession scene like where he's like sort of passing on the baton to the daughter to sort of execute and we see that in the second movie which we'll come to but like, while that was heartbreaking I think it still made a lot of sense to the movie and to the plot and I think if he didn't die it would have not been a satisfying conclusion.
No, we had three more kids to sacrifice. They should have killed two and still have one. So that's how it works. You don't kill the main guys. You kill, Acha, instead of killing one main character, you kill two somewhat important
Yeah.
characters. You do that. You don't kill John. And yeah, but so on a serious note, I was watching this Wired interview of John Krasinski where he breaks down the first 10 minutes of the Quiet Place 2, and there he says, instantly he said to the studio when studio asked him like, we need a sequel, and he's like, no, we made that the first movie as a one full story. It was never meant to have a sequel. We didn't like keep it on an open end because even if they did stretch it out initially in their plans, it would have just been the family surviving,
Yeah.
basically that. But so that's why him dying made more sense, because it was one complete story and it should have
Yes.
ended there. So that's where, if he had the sequel thing in mind, I don't think he would have written him off that early.
Yeah,
That's what I feel.
that kind of makes sense. But for me, like that whole heartbreak, it's
Yeah.
sort of like it's sort of a bookend. It started off with not it's not a sacrifice, one heartbreak, and it ends with a sacrifice, where he's sort of sacrificing himself for the family because the whole movie was about him trying to keep his family safe. It was
Yeah.
never about
And he
hitting
succeeded.
back. It was
Yeah.
never about hitting back against the aliens. It was just
Yeah.
about surviving, and it was only in the end where that whole hearing aid thing
Yeah.
comes into play and everything. So I thought that was beautifully done because I don't know, from a story we don't see movies like this. Because
Ac-
usually when it's a post-apocalyptic movie, like you said, like you don't see it's just entirely focused on one family and they are sort of the emotions and the
yeah.
sacrifice that they go through. You don't really see that, but I think they did exceptionally well, man. Like it had so many thrills because of the silence thing, first of all, and they also had so many moments. Like, oh man, there's a scene where Emily Blunt's leg like goes through the
Oh,
nail. I was like, oh my
yeah,
god.
that's I cannot emphasize how much I love like the smallest of the filmmaking details which are there kept. And that for me is like a sequel is sort of step down from the first one, but where they hold the same or even sort of surpasses were in the other aspect of filmmaking.
Yeah.
Story you cannot match the first level because the novelty just fades away.
Yeah, yeah.
But in
True.
the second part, they were more cautious about the every single cuts which they have, which you even see in the first 10 minutes, and like the choices they make, everything. It just, and I love how they played more towards the key from the girl's perspective. Whenever we are seeing, it's completely
Yeah, yeah.
like a muffled voice, and that instantly helps the audience put their shoes in the girl's feet, and like
The sound design is amazing. Like for both the
serious.
films, like the way they build the tension and the environment, like just with the sound design, it's so
My
good.
heart, that's why I dreaded, to be honest, like I didn't want to do this podcast in the first place because it's so hard, and I cannot handle this much tension for this long. It's like very intense, like really
Yeah.
really intense. The first movie is entirely like, okay, something's on and it keeps on happening. Like they create such well written scenarios, whereas like you're so invested, you're like, please nothing should happen, nothing should happen.
Yeah.
But it's like that's very like, nay, that's the beauty of this thing. This like it
It's
keeps on unraveling. It's like survival is not just one day or like one
yeah.
week. You have
Throughout
to get,
throughout their
yeah,
life.
and it's like awesome, seriously.
It's and I just want to get back to that nail which so okay, she gets her leg gone and that's a very intense sequence, and then you have the whole pregnancy thing happening in the
Yeah.
so my after that, no, there are many characters who go down the stairs and I'm always like, what's the nail, what's the nail? There's a nail there. Oh my
But yeah,
god.
it was like really good.
It was so funny. But yeah, the second one, it's obviously a lot bigger. I think just from the opening sequence, that
You
whole
could tell.
that was like, what was that sequence when it just came out of nowhere? Like, like when the moment I saw, I'm like, Cousins is alive. Like the starting,
Yeah, I was
then I'm
like
like, oh,
happy.
it's a flashback, and it also helped me see what they would do in day one. So the prequel movie which is coming out, because they will be focusing more entirely on what the first 10 minutes were in this one. So it's going to be an extended sort of version, not extended version, but they would be playing into that premise of the aliens just coming in. So
Okay.
I'm kind of interested, like to see, because see, they are not disappointed me even once now. This
Yeah,
Quiet Place franchise, so there is no reason that this can't be good. day
Yeah.
one. But
I have this tendency recently where I was like, yeah, just don't read or watch anything related, for an upcoming movie which I'm gonna watch. So it's like, is John part of the creative process? Is he part of the
he's a
writing team?
producer. I don't think he's a writer because he wanted a new set of writer and director because to give a
Okay.
different take on
Hmm.
because if you think about it, he already kind of did his day one, right? In the
Yeah.
second one, he
It
already
did.
did the day one. So I'm kind of glad that he had the right thinking that he will still stay on as producer,
And
but
that's where like I was so glad when I watched the first movie, like coming to the first movie, they didn't show how it started because
yeah,
see, you can say whatever, we have seen how it starts like a billion other
hmm.
times. And they
Yeah,
literally like it's so cliche, like regardless of the reason, whatever it happens. And I love that they showed it in the sequel, and that's how you kick off the whole thing,
yeah,
like you
yeah.
get audiences in the mood ki, "Acha, what to expect now."
Like you
And that
bring them back right back into it, like just
exactly
like that. That's the best
act
way to
like
do
they
it.
never left. And it was like
Yeah.
and that's where the thing, like anyone who's watching or listening to it should really watch the John Krasinski breaking down the first 10 minutes of it, where they intentionally want to, make it a one shot,
Yeah,
because that's how you grab the audience by the neck immediately.
yeah.
And that's where tension is still there, just because it has
Yeah, there
been
were
so
many
many.
extended takes where it was like
Yeah,
and then they had to obviously cut in to show
yeah,
different
of
points
course.
of view, but they were
Yeah,
definitely extended like takes. And I think when we get past the establishing 10 minutes, I think
yeah,
the way you sort of have Killian Murphy's character coming in the second movie, and I thought his character was also like if you see John Krasinski's character in the start in the first movie, he is even though he's very careful, he's still optimistic about
yeah,
actually surviving, getting through. But if you see Murphy's character, he's someone who lost his entire family. So it's almost an opposite effect of the character of John Krasinski, and which I really enjoyed because you get two
yeah.
different takes of people in this whole world. And I thought he did a pretty. I mean, I can't think of Cillian Murphy not doing a good job in anything which I've seen him in. So, but I
You
like
know,
that contrast.
yeah, exactly. And that's where the sequel sort of shines in its own way, because if they would have tried to replicate this first movie, na, it would have turned out to be a mess.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's where you said na, ki, there is a need to establish new characters who brings new sets of point of view.
yeah,
Because ठीक है, here is a guy, who has to protect his family in the one movie. But on the second movie, you have a guy who has lost his family
yeah.
and he has to only survive now. And that's where I really love his introduction sequence, where he sees with his sniper lens ki, like monsters are chasing them, but he didn't shoot
Yeah, yeah,
till he saw them ki, oh wait, they have a way to destabilize the whole situation. And that's where and that's how like a survival would do, who's surviving on its own is like they have to be mindful about it, they cannot
yeah.
bring their emotions to it. And these are the writing choices which I really like. And that I don't know why some people like said ki the sequel is like, of course it's not the first
So I
movie.
saw the sequel just for the podcast. Actually, I had actually kind of
Same,
missed the
same.
second one,
Yeah,
and maybe because I was having low expectations, I really enjoyed. I mean, maybe not as good as the first, but
of course,
as you
yeah,
said, but it was still a very solid movie. It felt a little bit bigger in
yeah,
its whole treatment in
right.
a way because
Yeah,
they actually sort of give it back this time around. Like it's not
yeah.
just them getting so. But I thought it was done pretty well, and the sacrifices, the different characters coming in, I thought all of that was done really well, and the whole island thing,
Yeah.
going there and stuff like that.
That
So
was a good addition to the
yeah,
whole story. Ki they can't swim.
yeah.
That was like a sort of a hopeful ending,
Hmm.
which I think the first movie didn't particularly give,
I mean,
because
they had that whole Emily Blunt shooting of the
yeah,
this
but
thing.
it's still like the apocalypse has not ended yet.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, it, and it's not gonna end anytime
In
soon.
this
But this is
one, yeah, it shows the beginning of the end, kind of like
yeah.
because they have put it in the radio and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
whenever I hear that beginning of the end thing, it immediately reminds me of that dark Netflix show. I love that show. Yeah, just wanted
it
to, yeah.
reminds me of the Fast and Furious 10 franchise.
I hope it ends. I don't know how much gasoline they have left. It's like it keeps on running. Now, though, with EV and all that, I don't think they're gonna stop
That should
anytime
be the
soon.
idea. Vin Diesel coming in fast, like in the Quiet Place universe.
Yeah,
He will
with
get
this.
obliterated right in the first second. Like he'll be
Oh
like
shit!
he'll be like
Yeah.
for family. Jung is like, shh. Oh, but
But yeah,
for me, like I want to talk about the ending of the second one. It shows a very nice, similar to the first one. First one, you can see that the father has that intention of passing on the torch, but in the
yeah,
second one, it's actually passed on. Where the youngest kid, he sort of gets over his fear and he helps the radio. He holds it to the alien, whatever
yeah.
creature, whatever. I don't know. Is it named? I don't think it's named, right, in the movie.
It's the unnamed.
And then right in the you cut to the
That's,
this
huh.
is the daughter also doing the same thing with the this thing, and I don't know, that was a nice counter. Like I felt like, I don't know, in my head I was like the father would be very proud
Yeah,
watching
they
the kids actually kick the butt of the unnamed.
writing team actually did the best job they could for a sequel for such a movie, which was never
Yeah,
planned in the first place. They
right.
tried to uh, give the characters not even a redeeming, but a fulfilling conclusion to one aspect of their life, and they now they are moving on to the second phase of their life. Which is like that was pretty cool.
That was
That's why,
cool.
like, the sequel worked. It's like again, I just don't understand why, like, everything has to be like the best thing ever.
Yeah,
Dude,
it
it's like,
doesn't.
yeah, like you could just have a good time with the film and that's fine. You like that's all there it is,
Is
like
that what
because
The
first,
Rock tells you when he signs different movies?
why did you have to bring that up, man? The Rock specifically told me ki we shouldn't, like you have to, whenever you are plugging these type of quotes, na, it shouldn't feel forced. That's what I was trying to do, but you exposed me right away. So yeah.
Oh my god! But I think I have one question to you.
Okay.
How many days do you think you would have survived if the things had actually come in real life?
See, I will kill myself day one. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, see, for me, the point of living is to live. I don't want to the live in fear ki, oh, something's gonna happen any day. I'm like, I'm just not cut
Okay,
off.
but what if it's a challenge where you were like you
I don't
can't
want to.
speak?
I will quit.
No, no,
But
no. But let's
uh,
just say you are like brought into this premise where you have to stay quiet
okay.
and not make any sound. How many days do you think you could pull that off?
Again, like if I kill myself, I won't make any sound, right?
No,
So
but shoot, like if you're shooting yourself, the sound will come. So
damn it. I don't know, man. I don't think I'm very
I think
good
I
at.
can make it like 2 or 3 days at least. I will just lie in my bed.
That's so depressing though. Like I have had phases in my, like, I know it's getting serious, but I have had phases in my life where where you don't want to talk and you're just feeling low. So, but the
Yeah, if I'm
again,
in that phase, I would like survive through like months.
yeah, and that's the thing that it's not a happy place to be in. Like I don't want to live like
So
that.
the so the way you tackle this environment is just be in depression,
Yeah,
and you'll survive.
depressed people will survive through any post-apocalyptic situation, and that's so true.
Oh my god, what a great message for the
Yeah.
podcast.
Like, see, you cannot blame us. It's the tone of the movie which is so depressing and intense. We didn't ask to watch it in the first place. Okay? We had to, and it turned out to be really great. So
Yeah,
it's like, but the tone was like, I just cannot, watch this movie and feel some sort of relief. It's like,
yeah.
man, that was something. That it's gonna take me couple of sitcoms binge watch session to get over that
Yeah, yeah.
lump, whatever. But yeah.
Okay, I think we covered both the movies. I think both of us are looking forward to day one. Day one in the sense, quiet place day one, not day one in life. Just to
We
be clear.
definitely don't look forward to
So
that.
we had invited stories. We didn't get a lot of response. We did get one from Shelley. I'm just pulling that up
Do I
if
have
I
to be
can.
here? I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
think.
definitely. So it was a very small one. She just said summer camp.
Oh
So
God.
this is from Shelley Lee.
Everything
Summer
starts at summer.
camp. We sat around the campfire, and then the camp
Oh,
counselor told us the
fuck.
scariest story about a swamp creature. I was so scared. In the middle of the night, I crawled into bed of one of the other campers, who turned out to be as scared as I was. Thankfully, she has not told when in detail and told about the swamp
Like
story.
that's again plugging into the movie. Though it's not a horror movie, but it's the most
It's
horrified
definitely a
I have
horror
been.
movie.
Is it?
It
Matlab, it's
is.
not.
I
It's
was.
not.
We couldn't breathe, man. Come on.
Yeah. See, that's where I was getting to, because it's not your conventional horror movie. Yet this
Yeah.
was the most scared I've been. Because when you put real life situation, see ghost and all, if something happens, either way you cannot do anything,
Yeah.
right? And I just don't coming to ghosts, like sorry for go on a rant, like I just don't understand why ghosts have to scare people. And why do they like go from one place to another to like what kick they do get? They could just talk to us, right? Like, hey man, what's
So
happening these days?
this there is like a very old English story about this. I forgot. We learned it in school. What the
Okay.
cranberry ghost, something like that. Like I forgot what the name was. Where the ghost would pull tricks just for kicks, and the kids also will like try to scare the ghost back.
I like that. We should form there should be a movie made where they're like, oh, we have that. We have scary movie, right?
Yeah,
So
that's
there's that.
definitely that.
But yeah, coming to the story, what is like the real life scenarios, that's the most scariest thing because
Yeah,
that could actually happen to anyone.
I have a great one. So the one morning at 5, it was like pitch dark, and I wanted to go for a run. So I got up and I dressed. So it was like pitch dark. There was no one outside. And so as I slowly started going down, and then when I sort of went to the road, I suddenly saw the street light. It started flickering. I was like, oh, maybe some electricity issue, like.
Hmm.
Then I started walking again, and the next light was also flickering. The light just kept on flickering. I was like, oh, maybe it's like this. Then I just walked to a different street. There also the light was flickering. I was like, oh, okay, this is a bit weird now. Like,
See, you know what? You're dumb. See, the first time I saw flickering lights, I would have like alarmed him itself. And the second time I was like, okay, this is God's direct signal to me, ki, kid, get the hell away from this place. But you keep on going. I don't know what you were happening to find, which
I
I
was
think was
jogging. I was keeping my fitness in mind.
yeah, fitness.
I'm a
What are you
Virat
gonna do?
Kohli fan.
You gonna outrun a ghost or what?
So I kept on jogging, okay, like in amidst all this flickering lights, and then the song which was playing it changed to there's a movie called Brahmastra, which
Okay.
I mean I don't
Huh.
know, I mean you know obviously, and there's a song called Deva Deva.
Yeah.
So it's like God, like that's kind of the chorus of the song. So and that started playing. I was like, why? Like, why
The
is this?
timing. Yeah.
Then I took a turn, and then from far I saw 3 ladies walking in unison, and they were like coming towards me. And from far I felt like they were like wearing a white dress or something. And I'm
Okay.
like, dude, what is happening? Like, how are they just like, and they were like walking in unison, like just like together. So I
Yeah.
kept running, and the song started like going like they are. I'm like, oh, crap.
Surrounding is getting perfect for this. It's 5, it's pitch dark, your headphones started playing Deva Deva and you start seeing 3 women. Awesome. So did you
The
run towards them?
I don't know why, but I was already like pacing towards them. So like by the time my mind was making these calculations, like they were coming in, so like I was like, what should I do? Like should I just stop or should I like walk back? But for some reason I kept on going ahead. They kept
Okay.
coming closer. But once they came closer, I saw it was just 3 aunties going for a walk in the morning.
See, it's some most of the time it's our imagination,
Yes.
and that's where my problem is. It's not like I cannot watch horror movies.
Yeah.
It's like I'm one of those people who gets completely immersed in whatever they are watching.
Yeah.
And I start literally putting myself in such imagination. Okay, if I was there, what would have happened? Just like you said, I would just give up right away. Like I don't know why people struggle to survive. Like, what's the point of it? You're gonna eventually like something that's gonna happen, right? So go out on your own terms, dude. Like go out with a bang. That's what I say. But yeah,
So yeah, I think with that
we should end it. Yeah, we should end
we
it
have
at this
come to
point.
the end of the Quiet Place episode. Thanks everyone who has made it this far. Even if you didn't make it this far, thank you still. But then you wouldn't
No.
know that I thanked you. So
Yeah, exactly, right. If you want to thanks to us, just like watch to the end, or at least
so
watch the end.
we have. I think next week we're doing which Christopher Nolan original movie, not comic book adapted, not the Dark Knight trilogy, basically, but
Of
which
course.
original movie of his would have a cool sequel. We're not saying it needs a sequel, but just
Yeah.
discussing the premise, which could have a cool sequel. We also have a Monkey Man podcast coming because Shelly, I mean, we had asked for topics last week, so Shelly recommended Monkey Man, so we will definitely do that. And if you still have other topics to recommend, you can leave it in the comments. And I think with that, we can conclude today's episode. Thanks everyone for watching, and be sure to hit that subscribe button. And that's it, guys. Keep geeking out.
What is this? I don't know. Yeah, Rajnikant. Yeah.